Welcome to episode 11 of the Suited Kings podcast. Today we have another very special guest, but before I introduce him, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has joined our Discord channel so far. Wes and I released that yesterday, and you can actually gain access to it via our Twitter account. If you go to my Twitter page at Deuce Nukem, you'll find it on the pinned tweet. Get in there, join the discussions, learn some strategies. We'll do live stream and a bunch of other fun stuffs. But without further ado, I would like to introduce today's guest, Mr. Blake Bohn. Blake, how you doing?
Great. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
I'm doing fine, Wes. What about you?
Doing great.
Yes.
Doing great as well.
Yeah, Blake, super happy to have you on. I mean, you and I have known each other for about a decade now through poker, playing Canterbury, running aces, and MSPT stops. I'm just going to go ahead and give an introduction to the people on your statistics here, which are, I'm looking at, kind of mind-boggling. We have 4.1 million in earnings. I believe that puts you at the number one spot on the Minnesota all-time money list.
We believe. We'll have to double check though.
Wes wants a piece of that. He's coming for it. Secondly, you are, I believe you're now on the MSPT and the Minnesota Hall of Fame. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then also a 5-time MSPT champ, I believe. And the only 5-time MSPT champ at that.
Yeah, for now.
For now. I'm on my way. I only got one so far. So it might be a while. But hey, I mean, Wes has 0, so we can just roll that in his face.
Whatever.
Blake, how did you get into poker, man?
I kind of started playing poker during the moneymaker boom. I was in finance and had some businesses and went through some life-changing things. My mom passed away and I went through a divorce. And so I gravitated towards my free time playing poker. And so I'd go to Canterbury and play limit hold'em.
Okay.
And found out that, I was making, I don't know, 30,000 a month playing, 15, 30, 30, 60 limit hold'em back in the day with great ease.
What year was this around?
Before you guys were born, maybe. I don't know. Must be. Canterbury's been open for what, 24? Maybe it's probably been 20 years or so. That was my first.
Okay, so 2000, like you said, moneymaker. I guess that was 20 years ago, so that adds up. 2003.
Yeah, Well, so when Canterbury opened, I just, I grew up playing card games with my family. We didn't.
Okay.
Before like video games and stuff, I always played like very skill level card games with my family, and so that was probably my basis for card knowledge.
Okay.
And then when I started playing poker, I remember when I first sat down to play limit hold'em, I couldn't remember if a flush or a straight was better. And I'm just like, well, I'll just sit down and watch, and I'll figure it out. We'll see a hand, and I'll figure that out, right? So, but my first time I sat down, I was like, God, I can't quite remember that, but. What I did is I just watched what the good players did and just picked up on things that they were doing and just tried to copy and mimic what they were doing. And
to this day, that is still the best strategy. And I know that's how I did a lot of my learning, how Wes does a lot of his learning as well. Watch the best and try to imitate it. Maybe not imitate it, but understand what they're doing and why. And
you don't. Exactly. So you might not even understand it, but you should be like, wow, this guy like always wins or this, and like I'm gonna try that. Like you'll figure out why he does that or she does that. But I still do that to this day. Like I'll people that I respect in poker. I'm a big, as you guys know, I'm really big into the feel of the game and the dynamics and the ebb and flows of tournaments and
absolutely.
Who's coming up chips, who just got chips, who's mad at life, who is only not going to rebuy. There's just so many intricate things that go into my thought process.
I'm glad that you brought all that up because we're definitely going to dive into some of that stuff. And then, as you were saying too, like how people view good players and they may not understand. I know a lot of people feel that way about you. They don't know how you tick, but they know your results, right? So
it's important. It's important to know what your opponent thinks of you, quite honestly. Like, I think people get caught up in hands, but I think people could spend more time, the regular people that play, of understanding what Rob Wazwaz thinks of me or what, this guy in Iowa thinks of me, or does this person just think I'm just ramming and jamming and trying to get a stack and going to put in 15 bullets,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's you know, and also, you know, I mean, there's so much. There's the thing that I love about poker is playing a 1K event with multiple day ones with reentries is different than playing the 10K WSOP main, right? So on day three, I'm going to play a hand with 2 10s, a lot different than I'm going to play day 1A than 2 days at running aces, right? Like,
Absolutely. And that, yeah, and that's something we want to pick your brain on too. I mean, you
yeah,
obviously you know how to adjust and that stuff. Before we get too far into
yeah,
the strategy and stuff, I just want to take a
yeah,
step back. So you started off playing like 15-30 limit and stuff like that in the early 2000s. This is
yeah,
where you kind of like cut your teeth and got some, you figured out that flushes finally beat straights.
yeah, yeah. I think so. I'm not. I think so. Yeah. So I guess you know, I did like tournaments, but I didn't know much about them. The Fall Classic back then was a pretty big deal, and people would travel in town to play you know, 10 tournaments. And um, you know, I don't think I mastered limit hold'em. I mean, the game caught up to me, and I became a non-winner, actually. But when I gravitated towards tournaments, I felt like it really suited my strength and my personality better. Like I could put a lot more pressure on people. You know,
Yep.
limit hold'em's obviously a different animal, and you know, I had somebody take a chance on me and put me in a few events, and I happened to do well.
Good.
I remember playing my first main event. Boy, I don't know when it was, maybe 15 years ago, and I had 30% of myself, and I remember like winning a pot on day two, and my hands were just shaking, like I was just dragging in chips, like. And I don't know, I'm a different player than I am now, but yeah. So I gravitated towards tournaments, and I found that was way. It just was just it did
Okay.
more for me. There was more levels of thinking. Yeah.
I love that, you know, that you brought that up, that you were at that stage as well. Cause I know a lot of people who listen to us are kind of in that stage now, or maybe, you know, some of them might be past it, but a lot of people go
Hmm.
through that as they're getting into poker. And I also think it's cool that, as you were saying, you got staked in some of these and did well. I know that
Hmm.
you do. I mean, you've put in a lot of people, as many people
Hmm.
know, into tournaments, and they've had big successes as well. So it's cool to see you hand that down or pay it forward, however you want to say it. But so kind of just keeping on track here, you started off in limit streets and then you moved your way into tournaments. I think it's important to note that, and I kind of talked about or talked to Mike, Hall of Fame Mike, what's his
Schneider.
Mike Schneider,
Yeah.
thank you.
Hmm.
And him and I had a conversation once where you know, we discussed how some of the best players to come from Minnesota are the limit players, and the reason being is because they get to showdown a lot more. They get to see what players
Yep.
have a lot more, so they just
Sure.
kind of get to see the intricacies of how a hand plays out because of the limit.
Yeah. Yep. To add to that point, I think it still influences my tournament game to this day to get to showdown. Like I might lose some value in my hands, but I'm not gonna bloat these pots and go bust in some random one pair hand,
Okay.
right? So I check back a lot of turns where I see people that you know, I would consider good players are going to get value on all three streets or two or three streets where I might lose some value or that I could get, but I'm taking less risk in certain spots
You're
depending
pot
on the tournaments,
controlling,
depending on the yeah. I mean, I think that's a big thing. I mean,
especially in deep poker tournaments where, you know, it reduces
correct.
variance. So 100%
Yep.
agree with you on that.
Yep.
I think, you know, let's see here. Yeah, so kind of, I guess one thing I want to touch on before we get into the strategy as well is I am also kind of bummed about how the Fall Poker Classic is now. I mean, I remember I
Uh
first
huh.
started playing tournaments in like 2010 to 2012, and the Fall Poker Classic was like Christmas for everybody. It's just a whole different thing now.
Right.
No buffets, none of that stuff. Forgive me,
Right.
my cat is jumping all over the place, so I had to kick her out of the way
It's
here.
okay. It's okay. My dogs are barking too. Yeah. So we used to like I. I mean, we would play every event. We would have, if you busted out because there was no reentries, we all came back to like my house, and we'd have like 2 tables of like Chinese poker and a golden tee machine. And then we would just do the same thing the next day. And,
That's
you know, if you busted the main event early, you got to play with some really bad players in the 30-60 game that also busted. So it's like, I don't know, it was just more of a, I don't know, it was more of an electric feel. Now there's just not the same vibe at all, for
I
sure.
I'm 100% on board with you there. Wes wouldn't know
Yeah.
that though because you know
Mhm.
he's a baby.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm a lot younger.
I just like to pick on Wes, but you know what? I appreciate you telling that kind of the story about how you got into it. Let's get into the thick of it here a little bit. I know a lot of people want to hear about how you think about poker. Again, we talked
Mhm.
about, I mean, I don't know anybody who exploits like you do. I mean, the table talk, just the way you see poker, all of that above. Wes has a bunch of questions kind of where we're going to get into this. Wes, you want to take it away?
Yeah. So I actually jotted down a couple more things as we were talking here, but you were talking
Mhm.
about stuff like, figuring out what players think of you and sort of what their
Mhm.
motivation is, like if they're going to rebuy or not, if some of them hate life, like you said. So
Mhm.
my first question, it was actually a little bit more specific. I've been at tables with you, and so
Mhm.
for reference, so everyone knows, like Blake, you and I don't think we had ever played together. Maybe one time before, like a year ago, and then there was a streak of
Yep.
3 months where we played at the same table about 15
Every
times.
tournament. Yep, for
So,
sure.
yeah, so there were, a lot of hands I noticed, um, and you played so differently at different times. So there were a couple times where it was kind of early middle of day one. You maybe had a much bigger stack than the opponent, but you opened, someone three bet you. There was one time someone three bet you from the small blind, and then you jammed or you put him all in for like 40 or 50 big blinds, and you were in the cutoff. Um, and you had like queen 10 or queen jack offsuit. Um, and obviously, like that's
What do you
not
have? Two kings?
he had, I think, jacks. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
the one I'm thinking of. So obviously,
yeah,
like that's not a play you're making all the time, but I'm just curious when you make a play like that,
yeah.
what goes into that thought process?
Everything. So when I'm opening the cutoff, and the small blind three bets me, if it's a thinking player or somebody that doesn't like me or plays a lot of hands, I mean, he's thinking my range is super wide in the cutoff, right? So that
Right.
makes his three betting range pretty wide too. So obviously I'm trying to get maybe ace queens to fold. Obviously, all ace jacks and below to fold. All pairs sevens and below are going to fold.
Mhm.
And whatever
If
shenanigans he
he
might be
if he
three
has two
betting with.
nines and he calls and I got, yeah, I mean, uh, at that point, there's no doubt that early day ones, especially when we have a couple days, that I'm gonna gamble and try to get chips. Like, and
Yeah.
that's a whole nother topic. I don't know if it's touched upon enough that I don't think the MSPTs are fair anymore. Quite honestly, I don't think. I think if you give the average player one or two bullets against me with 3 days with unlimited bullets to get to day two, it's just not fair fight.
Mhm.
I mean,
And I
yeah.
still have to on day twos I still have to beat between 60 and 100 players, and I'm really good at doing that. But
Yeah.
you're always going to have to play against me 15 times when you're only going to put in one bullet. I mean, and if I feel my skill set's superior, which in most cases it is, I mean, it's just, I mean, if these people really like money, they shouldn't play 'em unless
Yeah.
unless they were really good at it.
So
I
you're
mean, quite
saying
honestly, go ahead.
oh, so you're saying you're not a one bullet man. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I mean, quite honestly, like a couple of my wins have been on one bullets, and
Yeah.
I hear all these rumors about me putting in like 25 bullets or something, which is so absurd. Like it's never been, I think, the most I put in, which is a big number, but I think last December I put in 17 in
Okay.
3 days at running aces, but we have 1,000 players,
Yep.
right? So I'm just trying to maximize my EV. Of course, it makes for a good story when you win 180K or whatever, but
And it's easy for
I know what
people,
my
yeah, to judge.
I know
It's
what
easy
my
for people to
ROI is
judge
in
you.
this. Yeah. Yep. And they hate and they judge. And, I've learned getting better, but I've learned to not really worry about what people think of me.
Okay.
I do enjoy, I think my table talk is elite.
I mean,
It's
there's
something I
the,
don't
yeah.
do when I travel, but I think around here against the amateurs, I think I can basically get a feel for what they have or get them to do what I want in a lot of spots.
Can
And,
I
Yeah. And so,
can I pause it, jump in real quick?
yeah.
So just to kind of stay on topic. Well, first off, yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, I've seen your table talk endless amount of times at table. I mean, I remember one
yeah,
time you'd be like, you're folding, and you
yeah, yep,
and
yep,
lo and behold, they fold. But it's just crazy. I have no idea what they're
yeah.
folding or what you got them to fold, but you
Yeah,
you
I mean,
talk them into it a lot.
I've gotten people to take their cards almost out of the muck and call me before. Like, just I don't know if it's I think one of my best skills is being able to think fast on my feet and process information really fast.
Yeah.
And so Yeah, I mean, I would rank experience of playing these tournaments and thinking fast and knowing my opponents are all strengths of mine. And yeah, we would like to stay on topic, but we're gonna jump all around. Was my queen 10 suited, Wes?
So there are two hands I'm thinking of, and one time you had queen jack suited, one time you had queen 10 off, and one time.
Yeah, I'm just joking. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Wes has an incredible memory.
That's what. Yeah, which is great because I don't. So I don't remember who the small blind was either. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, when I want to play, if I'm in the mood to play, it's a good thing for me, and it's not very good for other players, and especially if I get a stack. And but that's the thing. Nobody sees the big folds I make or the big checkbacks I make. I mean, we only see the hands. I mean, everybody has their Blake story. I'll go everywhere, and somebody will be like, "Oh, remember that time in Iowa, and you had the 5-3 of hearts, and I had 2 queens," and I'm like, well, when did the money go? And he goes, well, you had 3 threes. I'm like, exactly. You're like, right. Like you said, I mean, the money went in when I usually have it. Right. Like, but I know that I'm going to get called a lot lighter. That's why I play so many hands. I mean, my VPIP is, insane. But that's just because I'm so comfortable post flop. And I don't think a lot of other people are.
Oh, that's 100% facts. And I actually have, so our Discord chat, I told, mentioned in there that we're going to be interviewing you, and staying on topic for like bullets for early in MSPTs. One of our friends, Jay, had a question for you. I just wanted to ask. So the question is, during MSPT day ones, do you have a target amount, say 3 or 4 starting stacks to where you'll start switching gears? Or, I know some of this stuff you might not want to give away, but I'm just trying to, see what your thoughts
I'm an
are
open book. I have no problem. I have no problem telling everything that I do because I don't think that people absorb it or can play how I play. So I'm not worried about that. First of all, I don't.
That's a great point.
Think first of all, I think I'm a really good poker player, but I'm not overconfident. I'm not conceited. I know I have flaws. I know that I don't know the math as well as I could. And that's why when I get asked to coach, I turn everybody down because I can't. It's not like I'm a genius, but I just can't teach what I do. I just can't teach how I would play in certain spots. But to Jay's question, I never have a target. I never have a target to what I want to end day one with. It's always table specific, event specific. That's just how it goes. Like I never. Okay, I want to make sure I finish with X amount or this or that and the other. Every hand to me should be put in a vacuum, and I don't think enough people do that. I think they let other hands carry over, and I think their emotions get involved from a previous hand. And I try to do a good job of playing every hand. Obviously, I know in certain spots I'm gonna have the worst of it and gamble, but that's going to be early on. But when it usually matters, I mean, I usually have it, and I get called. I get plenty of action because people see how I play early, and then when they're playing against me late, they just never believe me. So
I do agree with you that the style of poker you play exploitative is more of a natural ability than something like GTO where you can study it over and over, right? Okay. As you were saying though, like your style is 100% the hard. You can't coach it. I mean, it's a natural ability. Your table talk. I mean, these come from personality traits and things like that. I think. Did I hear you were coaching Corey Covid? Or is that something that was like just maybe for a few?
So Corey and I are really good friends, and we talk poker. I don't. He jokingly calls me his coach, but I don't.
It's not like a dedicated thing.
Yeah, I mean we talk poker, but I would not consider me his coach. Like I've probably been asked 50 times to coach people, and a few times. Good friends of mine, I've said, I won't coach, but if you want to go have lunch, we can talk poker for a couple hours. And so I would speak my mind on what I see about their game and other things. But
yeah, and I kind of agree with that. I think when it comes to poker, there's so many things that you can talk about what you would do theoretically in this spot, but really every single variable in the hand comes into play. So it's not just positions, stack sizes, payouts. It's also like
player type.
Player type.
It's everything. And if we all watch poker, or we're watching Game of Gold, and Kat and I will be watching it, and when you see the hand, when you see what's going on, when you see all the cards, it's a lot easier. Like, man, I would jam here. I'm like, that's cool and all, but do you have the balls to do that when you don't know exactly what's out there? Like a lot of
100%.
people,
Yeah.
I don't have,
Jinx.
I don't want to say I have no fear, but whether I'm playing a 100K buy-in or a 1K buy-in, if I really feel the money has to go in, it's just going to go in. Like, you can't have a fear of losing. Like, we lose so
Yeah.
much in this, right? Like, if we're playing tournaments and they pay 10%, obviously you're losing. The average person's losing 90. Obviously I'm probably cashing more, but say
Yeah.
I'm cashing 25%, I'm going to work and coming home 3 out of 4 times just fucking no money and grumpy and pissy. And it's a tough industry to make happen. But I've been in a lot of pressure spots with a lot of big money, and so my experience really, I can recall certain spots of what I felt like, and I just try to play how I would to the best. Like, I try to do to people what I don't like done to me,
Hmm.
quite honestly.
I've heard you
And
say that before.
there's a couple things that I don't like done to me, which so I don't know. I just, it's a game of incomplete information. And,
Yeah.
uh, for instance, no, I was 3 of 11 within the 1600 in Vegas a week ago. And, we were bagging at 10. So we're 11 people,
Yep.
and I'm third in chips and I'm raising every hand.
Okay.
And there's a chip leader at my table, but he's pretty passive. And so I'm under the gun, and the dealer deals me one card all the way to the rail, and the other card not even close to me, like way out in the middle.
Okay.
And I raised a 10,000 with 240K. And
Okay.
everybody
You
saw
didn't
that I
even
didn't
look.
look at my other card. I
Yeah.
looked at one card. Then look at this other card, right?
I love that.
So it's folded to the big stack, who's got 400, and he makes it 48,000. Like, I made it 10K, he made it 48.
Yep.
And I look at a 7, and I look out here and I see another 7. I'm like, I'm just crushing his range, right? He never has aces or kings here because he's going to make it, 23,000
Smaller
or
raise. Yeah.
28,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just like, I'm not scared in that spot in the 1600. I know I can play day 1B. And so, I tank jam, and he beats me in the pot with 2 aces, of course.
Oh my
You
god.
and I lose. It's not a good story. I bubble, and I go home and I'm just like, fuck, but I'm just like, what I did there on purpose is I saw what I saw and I tried to exploit. I mean, he has to fold
You
so much
essentially
there.
reverse
And
exploited there. Yeah. You
Yeah.
tried to exploit his
exactly.
exploit.
You recognize that you
Yeah,
were in a
exactly.
spot where he was going to
And
take
so,
advantage. Yeah.
I wish he was a thinking enough player to say, if I raise this big enough, he could jam. If I raise it small, he might just call or fold. Like, I wish he was thinking that, but they're just scared to play post flop with me. That's what you
That's
got to
exactly
figure
what
out
it
is who you're
was.
playing
Yeah.
against. So he
Wow.
raised big enough because he's like, fuck, I don't want to, I don't want to play post flop. I got 2 aces. I'll make it 48. And I look at that like, you don't want to play post flop. You got ace jack suited, So
I appreciate you sharing that story, even though the
yeah.
result wasn't in your favor.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So I actually had another question. Going back to, you had said talking about 100, whether you're on a 100K or a 1K, like when you are gathering information about your opponents and making these exploitative plays, do you find that like there's a very different amount of information you can gather from players at something like a Canterbury tournament versus like a 50 or 100K at the World Series? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like, I think, I've barely been doing this seriously for tournaments for 15 years or so, and other than COVID. And I think, after day ones are over, I don't want to say I was the first, but I was one of the very few that started researching my day 2 seed assignments and who they were, where they're from, what their recent success was, what do they normally play, where they're sitting. And I'd actually get a piece of paper and I'd put their chip stacks on this piece of paper and sit where I'm sitting. So I'd have a visualization of where I'm at before I even sit down. And I know who they are, where they're from, what their tendencies are. One of the first pieces of advice I got when the main event was, was even juicier than it is now, is one guy told me, he goes, get to the table 15 minutes before everybody else. Be the first to your table. And I'm just like, okay, why? He goes, well, because then you're going to see if they handed passports. Are they from Denmark? Are they from here? Are they on the phone with their home game saying, thank you guys for this opportunity? I can't believe I'm playing. Are they talking to their wife? Are they nervous? Do they say, if they're going to say, did everybody else satellite in like me? Like, you can gather so much in the 10 minutes before you start that I can, what I would do is I would be like, oh yeah, I'm Blake. And he'd be like, oh, I'm Larry. I'm like, where are you from? And he'd be like, oh, I'm from Indiana. And I try to recall that conversation. And then when I was in a hand with him, recall, because I don't think he was lying to me when he was from Indiana. So I try to recall his body language and his tone and all that stuff. Like I've spent many hours researching FBI body language books and interrogation. And I mean, it's not just, I don't know,
Okay.
like I've been broke before. I don't come from money. So it's not just me throwing money around, just having a good time. Like I really have put in a lot of work behind the scenes that people will never understand or know.
Yeah, I think that's
But
important to note too. And so I just want to kind of clarify for the listeners. So you're saying, I mean, you've done a lot of this studying of, tells and things like that. You were reading books and
yeah,
stuff like that. So in the moment, you kind of get these feels, these vibes. So you're not looking at their throat pulsating and saying, "Oh my God, he's got a big hand or he doesn't." These are just intuitive things that you've seen over time that come to you in the moment. You're like, "All right, I know he's uncomfortable, and I know that he's going to be weak because of this." It's not just a simple tell, but it's more of an intuitive feeling, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like maybe the year I put Alex Winter in the main event, I got, he got 50th or 40th, and I got like 200, and it was just such a fun. We played, I don't know, 5 days together, maybe, or I don't know, but
That's so sick.
I remember on like level 3, I had 2 kings on the button. I 3-bet, and I got 4-bet out of the small blind. This older guy from Wisconsin, and I'm like, normally I'm always just flatting the 4-bet there because we both were 600 blinds deep. We were just so deep, right?
Yeah.
But then I thought to myself, I'm like, well, I could get myself in trouble if it comes 8 high. I do have 2 kings here. Am I good enough to 5-bet fold?
Okay.
2 kings. And so I decided to 5-bet. And so I 5-bet him. And before I even got my chips in there, he just said I'm all in.
Oh man, Blake.
So you got like a perfect piece of information, basically.
Well, so I did. It took me 12 seconds to fold.
Yep.
Like I put, and I didn't show anybody. I didn't get mad. I didn't say anything. I just took my 2 kings, didn't show, and just pushed them towards the muck like that. And I said, "Nice hand." And he grabbed his 2 cards, and he was sitting next to me, and he put them in my face, and he put 2 kings right in my face.
Oh no!
I mean, it's either
and I said, "Nice hand." I didn't tell him what I had. I said, "Nice hand." I just knuckle the table and move on because they don't want to give away anything, right? Like I'm not giving away anything, but in that I'm never folding 2 kings in a 1K, in a day 1B, but in that one, there's just so every hand gets played different. The opponents are different, the stakes are different. It's just that's why I love the game, because it's just such a meta game of information.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so interesting the way you talk about it. It's like you can't make general statements about these different types of tells because every small bit of information goes into the decision, and
right.
It's a great way to
it
put
just
it.
you're
Yeah, I
just
mean, he
processing it
had
real
one or two.
time.
He either had he had 2 aces or 2 kings, and I have 2 kings, so it's likely he has 2 aces, right? So
100%.
he never has queens, he never has ace king, and so I was just like, I wish I showed him or put it in, but when he just put it in my face like he had it, and I just was like, yeah, nice hand.
Well, that's a great
nice
spot
hand.
for you to limit your loss there. You 5-bet and then are able to fold instead of getting the 8 high flop and then getting stacked. So
yeah,
that's why the hand play is so different. The text. I'm a big texture of the board guy, right? Like textures of boards are really important to the way that I play, a lot more than I think people are a little too focused on those 2 cards they have in front of them, and not enough of range of what the other opponents have or what the texture is. And
cool.
Agreed
I
with
just
that.
try not to get married to a hand. So yeah, I mean, you got to make big folds, and you got to put pressure on when you think you can put pressure on.
100%. What sort of things, or do you have any example of any times when you have done certain things to induce types of mistakes from your opponents? So like, I know when we've played together, I've seen people make really bizarre plays where they kind of blow up against you. And it's almost like you're a Midwest version of Phil Hellmuth in a way. Like
in a complimentary way.
Yeah. I totally would take that as a compliment, and I totally understand that. And that just comes from, people's perception of me or my table talk, right? Like there's some people in this community that think the world of me. And I have kids named after me, for Christ's sake, and then there's other people that just animosity towards me, and that's fine. And back a long time ago, I probably deserved it. I was probably way more of a dick at the table than I am now. I still talk, but I'm not as abrasive as I am. But I try to do that to get them to eventually. The average player is just going to lose their shit in the pot. So I try to catch punts. Like that's what I do for a living, right? Like I just want to wait for them to fuck up. And,
but you tee the ball up for them,
hold.
like, and that's what a lot of people can't do. Like we all
Right.
have our gloves on waiting to catch the punt, but you
Well,
manipulate them to punt.
Well, I also try to put them in punt formation a lot. Like that's why I
Yeah,
play so many
right.
hands, right? That's why I get under their skin, or you know, they might get chips, or you know, I've seen can't mention this person's name, but I was railing him in an MSPT years ago, and he just won this big pot, and they were down to 13-handed, and he was dealt ace queen of clubs on the button, and he raised, and the big blind 3-bet him, and he just took his ace queen. I was standing over his shoulder, he picked it up, and he's just like, just threw it in the muck, and I'm just like,
wow.
Look at him. He goes, well, I just got these chips and I didn't want to lose them. Like, you're the person that I play. That's why I would be playing against you, because you're going to fold. That's what you do. This guy's not that good a tournament player, but just like you can't, I mean, that's just a dream scenario for me. Like
in a button versus big blind, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, it's just, I was just like drooling over here, and he's just like mucking this, and I'm just like, I was trying to catch it as it was going in the muck. I'm like, no, no muck.
Hold on, put that back.
But that's an example of when people get chips, they don't like to come off them, or when people come off chips, they're, you know, they get a little more on tilt. You know, you can just feel. I have a good feel for what people are doing. You know, the better players around, you know, it's, I mean, credit to you two. Like I would put you two as some of the better players around that I play with. And, you know, I'm not going to be able to speak to you guys that way. I'm going to have more friendly banter or whatever. But I also know, and that's why when I'm playing bigger events, I don't talk, because I don't feel I want to give off. Around here, I don't care what I give off, because I think I'm better than everybody. But when I travel, I know I'm not better than everybody. So I don't want to talk, because I don't want to have them figure out what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I talk a lot less when I travel and play bigger events for sure.
Do you feel like that affects your results between home and traveling?
To affect my results, I don't know. Like,
do you feel like your results are
consistent.
better here because you can exploit more players here compared to when you're traveling and maybe not, and the field is going to be a lot tougher?
My results. Let's see. So I'm really proud of the fact that with my 4.1 million in earnings, that my biggest score is only 288,000 or whatever.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
Like I think that says a lot. I think that says more about me and my consistency than anybody. Like you'll see a lot of people that'll have 2 million in earnings, but they won 900K in one event, you know?
Yep.
And kudos to them. They could be a great player, but you know, and I've missed several, man, I've missed several 7-figure spots, but you know, I don't know. There's a reason I do what I do, but sometimes I can't really explain it. Like when you're playing for $4 million and there's 20 left, it's just a different atmosphere than when you're playing around here for $1,100. You know, so I guess
that makes sense. That's fair. 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be anything like that. So,
and I would even say, you know, in that streak of time when we were playing together, I remember early on, like I sort of identified the fact that I'm like, okay, when I'm in a pot with this guy, I need to like just stay stoic and not, you know, because a lot of times when
and you do,
yeah, I do. But I think, you know, as someone who plays a decent amount online, there was a stretch there where, you know, when I would play in Minnesota or whatever, it's like, oh, I might get a little more relaxed and whatnot. And I was like, okay, no, I need to be very intentional about like, this guy is going to lean over and say something at me, and I need to keep staring at the middle card on the flop and not react. You know?
There's been many people that have came up to me and said, you know, my friend came up to me because he's at your table. I told him, he asked me what I should do, and this person said, just don't talk to him.
Yeah,
just don't say anything. You know, just whatever, right? And I don't know. That's what makes poker fun, though. I mean, it's a social game too, right? So
100% it is. Yeah. I mean, you know, I think there's a fine balance between being stoic and then also being able to socialize and remain, you know, stoic. And I mean, it's not too hard to do, but
yeah. And I think
unless we're at a table with you, because you can pick up on these small tendencies.
Yeah. Well, and it's also such, you know, one thing about poker I've noticed is it's such a human reaction that when someone says something to you, it's such a human reaction to say something back, you know, just to be polite. And so I think for people listening out there, like if you feel like you get in these awkward spots in live poker, one thing you can take away is like, sometimes you need to work on just not saying anything. Like, don't feel awkward about just saying nothing if someone's like trying to get a reaction out of you. Because even when you're bantering in a friendly way, I'm sure you're like picking up stuff about people's personalities and tendencies.
100% he is.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, there's like that guy that made it 48,000. I need to realize that there's just some players that are gonna play like that on accident, and they're gonna out level me. You just got me, right? Like, but in most cases, that's such a shitty raise amount that it just fit what I should be doing in that spot. But I can't with the success I've had, especially in the last year, I don't even know when I could start complaining about poker again, right? Like it's been such a really solid run, and it's so fun when you get to play for bigger stacks of money. And I just have more experience than everybody playing final tables. And with 13 final tables MSPT, I got 5 wins in 4 seconds, right? Like,
I mean, it's
pretty sweet.
That's and this year alone, I mean, what you have, what you got. Well, since
you're Canterbury 1100s too this year.
Yeah, and you're the defending champ of the Winter Poker Classic at Running Aces, right? You won last year's, yeah.
So before, like a couple of weeks ago, I haven't looked lately, but I was second in the world in mid majors, like so tournaments between 500 and 5,000. I was second
for GPI.
Was it? Yeah, GPI.
Yeah.
500. I don't know.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
So
yeah, you had an incredible year.
I think I've won 5 times this year or whatever, not including, or maybe including my December of last year. I don't know, but obviously we all know, you gotta run good, but I think another one of my strengths is I avoid getting unlucky. Like everybody says, like, you need a lot of luck to get through fourth. Sure, you need a lot of luck, but if you use pot control and just don't lose your mind, you could avoid a lot of the marginal spots. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Like, I think that's also key. Like, I don't mind playing marginal spots, on Thursday at Running Aces, but on a day 2, day 3, day 6, I mean, going to bed or trying to go to bed with 32 players left in the main event, 10 years ago or 8 years ago is like, I just can't even explain that feeling.
Good luck.
Like, I get goosebumps even thinking about it to this day. Like, it was just like, this is what I've dreamed about, and
Are you speaking of the what was that? That was the main event in 2015 you're talking about?
Yeah, I got 23rd, I think.
Yeah, for 262K. Got that on here. That's pretty insane. So I do have some of your big scores I do want to touch on eventually, just kind of get some quick insight on the experience for that. But I know Wes has another question. I think it's
so I have one more poker question for right now. I think you kind of answered a lot of the exploit stuff. I know you had said people will bring up hands and you won't remember them. There was one hand in April, the MSPT day 1, and you told me, you're like, let's talk about that hand in like a month. You don't even have to say what you had, but just remember that. So I wanted to ask, do you remember that hand still?
Don't even remember saying that to you.
Okay, then we won't get into it.
We can try to talk about it though.
Okay. So here's what the action was. So 3-6-6 blinds. I opened the button to 1,400.
This is day 1.
Yeah, middle of day 1.
You opened.
You called for 1,400 in the big blind. The flop was 6-5-4 with 2 clubs. I think it was. It was, there's a flush draw. You check, I check. Turn was a offsuit king. No backdoor flush draw. So it's 6-5-4 king with 2 clubs on the flop. You check again. I bet it was like 2,500 into what would have been, I think, 37. So like 2/3. And you super quickly check raise to 8K. And then, so I started at this point, I had like 22K to start going onto the turn. And I ended up jamming, and you took a bit and you folded, and you said you made a pretty big fold. And then you said, like, let's talk about that one later. So
does it ring a bell or not?
It doesn't. I mean, I thought it did until I folded. I thought I knew what I had until you jammed it. What did you have?
Let's hear it.
See, the plan was I was going to share if you shared, but
I don't expect you to share, and I don't remember. But
Wes, tell him, because I need to know.
So I can tell you this, Wes, between people that I respect and like or consider my friends, I'm never, after the hand's over, I'm never faking. Like, I didn't have anything, and it didn't tank and say, boy, I made a big fold when I didn't. I did make a big fold for sure, or I wouldn't have told you that. Like, I'm not you're not going to change how you play against me if I have nothing or make a big fold, right? So
for sure, yeah.
Other people around here like to lie about their hands, which I think is super funny and comical. But with people, actually everybody, I rarely, if ever, would I say something like that if I didn't make a big fold. So I'm
for
sure,
yeah. Well, here's what I'll say is I had it.
Flop a straight?
What's that?
You flop a straight?
No.
What'd you have?
All right, Max, you have an idea. What do you think it was?
So it was 4, 5, 6, 2 clubs and a king on the turn.
Yep, I check back flop.
You check back flop.
Ace king with the ace of clubs?
No.
I was gonna say like I don't know if you check this back or not, but I was gonna say like ace 10 of clubs or something.
Oh, you guys. I'm glad that you don't know me that well. No, I had top set on the turn. I had pocket kings.
That's what my wife just said. She just said,
really?
She's listening, and she goes, "She had a set." I'm like, yeah.
Okay. Well, she knows that. She knows I play perfect GTO, but it only extends the pre-flop, though. To be fair, and I do think opening kings is.
We're not. I'm not talking to her in this household today because we played some Indian poker last night and I got swept. So
awesome. I after watching that on Game of Gold, I wanted to try it for sure.
Yeah. So I played it back in the day. Like we would play at Canterbury in between like tables breaking or moving. Like they would let us have a deck, and so I played this. I've had some experience at it. But so of course, watching that last night, we decided to play it, and we figured out some different strategy types. But she did beat me in both. She always beats me, but whatever. Like,
nice.
Yeah. So I don't remember what I had, or I definitely would have told you. Yeah. I have a hard time believing that So I know when I check raise you or somebody really fast like that, I want it to look bluffy.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you make it, what did you say you bet on the turn?
Like 25 into 37.
And I made it 8,000 fast.
Yep.
Like, I felt I had it until you jammed. Like I was trying to be bluffy, and then when you jammed, I had to reevaluate if I had it or not. Right. So
that makes sense.
I'm sure I had, but I have a hard time believing I'm check raising a combo that I could get blown off of. But I don't. Yeah. So I don't remember. But
yeah.
I can tell you. Yeah. I can tell you in my history when I check raise somebody really fast, I usually have it. Like I have chips ready to raise them because they're counting their chips, and I know that they're going to bet, and I'm going to just throw out 9K. Like when that happens,
definitely a situation where your raise was in the pot before my hand was even back on my lap.
Pro tip: when I do that, I usually have it.
Good to know. Nice. Well, pro tip is I always have it, so it doesn't matter.
I think that kind of will end the line on the strategy talk for poker. And I know you guys are into DFS a lot. I know Wes has probably some questions and just kind of wants to see where you're at on DFS. What do you got for that, Wes?
Yeah, I mean, I've done DFS specifically for NFL more seriously the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. I know we've talked about it a bit, but I'm just kind of curious, like how much do you play? Do you do it for mainly football or other sports? How do you rank your DFS skill compared to your poker skill? Just
so I play golf and I play the NFL usually. I played NBA, it's just like when we talked about, when I first started playing 30-60 or 15-30, like when DFS first started, it was a lot easier in the streets to make money. And I made lots and lots and lots of money in the early stages of it, but then it got so competitive that it was tougher on the higher stakes level to make a bunch of money. However, that doesn't deter me these days because it's like if I was to have a vice or something that I really like to do, that would be something that that I deem as fun. So I'm putting in. I mean, I'm playing against the best players in the world, and I'm not afraid to say that I'm down. I'm stuck. In the NFL this year, I'm usually putting in
me too
25 to 40K a week probably.
Oh, nice.
A little more than me.
Yeah. I have 2 live final seats coming up in 2 weeks, so hopefully the deck will bail me out and get me even for the year. It's just something. It's just a hobby of mine. I don't think the edge is really, really small on the high stakes DFS scene. I mean,
that's kind of what I've heard.
It's not for the faint of heart, and it takes a lot of money to make money. And quite honestly, although it's plus EV for me in 10 years, it's definitely not when I'm putting the money in, I don't feel I'm getting it in great. I think I'm getting it in good and hoping to have a little sweat.
For sure.
I mean, you probably it probably makes watching the sports more enjoyable than it already is as well.
Correct. Yeah, for sure.
Do you, when you make lineups, do you use any sort of software to help you? Like, how do you do research? How do you go about making your lineups on like a week to week basis?
Well, I mean, obviously there's an analytical side and a field play to it too. So it's probably more analytical in DFS than feel, where poker for me would be the reverse of that. But it just depends what I'm playing. If I'm playing just like tournaments, if I'm playing a qualifier for a live seed, I'm going to play a different lineup than I am for a cash game or a 4K trying to win $1 million, right? So it depends how many lineups I'm going to put in. But I definitely do try to take chances to have the unique lineup to scoop. Yeah, you're just hoping to have a sweat in the afternoon games, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But I would say golf. Is probably still my favorite sport for DFS. It's just every shot on Sunday, you either want the guy to miss really bad or bake. So it's a lot of stress sweating, but it sure is fun when you win, just like poker.
Yeah, definitely.
I should consider checking out golf. Yeah, I'm an avid golfer, Blake. So I do watch golf. It's the only sport I watch. So I would probably enjoy that.
Yeah,
maybe.
I would recommend playing some low stakes golf, because you'll find that especially if you're an avid golfer or if you're an avid watcher of golf, know the players that the public doesn't know, the up and comers that are lowly ranked, that have a chance to win on certain courses and stuff. So I mean, I don't know, just got to use your edge where you think you can have it.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I guess that's kind of all I have. I'm not super serious about DFS, but it's kind of fun when you come across people who are into it as well.
And this ain't a DFS podcast. What?
It's not a DFS podcast, but I know there are definitely some listeners out there who
probably
are into it as well.
Yeah, I know a lot of people about that stuff.
So like in golf this year, there was, I don't know if you guys obviously know what a live final is, right? Like you try to qualify for this year-end tournament, and golf started with 300 teams, and we played down to 40 for the live final. And I had 4 lineups of the 40. So I mean, obviously, I was a huge favorite. A couple of people had 2, and I ended up one of my lineups got third for 400K maybe. And I know in basketball 8 years ago, I had 3 lineups of 100, and if Dirk Nowitzki doesn't hit this jumper over Draymond Green, I'm going to win the $1 million. Instead, I got third. Like, there's just so sweating these live finals, especially when you're in the group, when everybody else is around you in these rooms. There's just nothing like it. It's just a different atmosphere.
I feel like I would lose my hair playing DFS.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, if for people out there who are thinking about getting into it, if you think the variance is high in poker, the variance in DFS tournaments is through the roof.
Yeah,
one small play can just change so much.
I'm sure Kat's tired of me saying, if this guy just would have caught this ball, or if this coach wasn't so stupid. But I'm sure there's 100 people in that same tournament time, and they're saying the same thing about some other random play that I didn't see. Right. So I mean, it just again, you gotta use your skill set to try to put in the best lineup, but at the end, you're gonna have to run good. You're gonna have to run perfect.
Yep. So Blake, stepping away from DFS, we're kind of, coming up on an hour here, I think shortly. I just want to run by a couple of experiences with you that you had. Then we'll talk about, your life outside poker, just very briefly, and then kind of finish up on what you got coming up in the future here. Starting with like some of your big scores, I noticed, and I think I was around at this time, it's 2013. You had 2 really big scores in 2013. I think the first one, if I'm correct, was the Chicago Poker Classic for 288K. I believe that was your first like massive score. Is that right?
Still my biggest, I think.
Still your biggest to this day. Yeah. And do you have any stories from that, or anything that like about that experience, or that you remember or recall that might be worth sharing?
Well, it was a 4-day event, and it was $3,200, no reentries. And
it was
run by Charlie, who runs the World Series. And when I tell you that this tournament was slow, we played a 700, 1,400 level. Wow. I've never even heard of these things before. Like 4 days for a 3K without reentries is just unheard of.
Nice.
And I remember being down to like 3 or 4 tables, and I heard the other table next to me talking. This one guy was talking and trying to get everybody's information, and so I got changed to his table, and I put my chips down. He goes, "Welcome to the table, sir. What's your name? Where are you from?" And I didn't say a word. And he's just like, "What? You don't want to tell us? Where you? We're out." And I'm just like, I still didn't say a word. I'm like, I don't, at that time, I didn't want to give out any information.
Right. And you don't know what his
about
intentions
anything.
are.
The Hendon mob and all these things weren't as prevalent back then, but I just was like, I know that I'm playing a game of information gathering and I'm not going to give them any.
Yeah. Okay.
And the best part is, he got all pissy and kind of mad at me or whatever. And then a month later, I saw him in another tournament. I'm like, you know my name now? Because I won. It was kind of fun. But, I'm motivated by different things like that. Like last December, somebody sat at my table that I didn't know. And he goes, oh, you're Blake Bohn, that big player from Minnesota. You haven't done much lately, have you? And I'm just like looking at him just like, man, if I could tell you how tough tournaments really are, right? But I don't know, those little things motivated me, and what I went on a heater of a year. I'm not saying it was all because of that, but I play a lot to prove people wrong or try to keep reproving myself as a player. And some of it is tiresome, but some of it is well worth it. At the end, it's pretty emotional when I'm setting records and leading the way for certain categories. It's pretty I don't know, it's hard to believe, actually, quite honestly.
I mean, it's incredible. And I know, so following up the Chicago Poker Classic in 2013, you entered a $1,500 World Series of Poker No Limit Hold'em event and got second for $281K. So this is right afterwards, pretty much, right?
Yep.
Or maybe not too long afterwards, right?
Yeah, it was like, I think that was March or April. So yeah, a couple months later. And
I mean, 281K and a second in a World Series is obviously incredible. Was that how painful was that, being so close to a bracelet?
Yeah, so I didn't really know what I was doing, I don't think. Like, I knew I was still better than most people, but my game, the game in general, but also my game is so different than it was. But yeah, it was a feeling that I'll never forget. And I know I got heads up, and the guy had a 3-1 chip lead, and we played a hand, and I called him down, and he had it. And then a couple hands later, like, I raised and he jammed, and I got out of my chair, and I said, you don't have it. I said, I don't have it either. I got a piece of shit. I had like ace 8 offsuit or something, but I'm like, I looked at him like, you do not have it here.
Yeah.
I called, and he turned over king 9, and I had, ace 8, and he won. And it was emotional, of course. And, but, winning that significant amount of money, I think, I don't know. It's there's a lot of spots. The 111K maybe that year, a couple years later, was also when I got 14th. When the first 4 places were $1 million. There's a lot of spots, like the Borgata. I got like 8th place, and I had the chip lead with 14 left, and I got it in Ace King versus Ace Queen for all the chips. And
I mean, those are the spots where you got to hold, right? So the high equity spots.
And it usually happens because I was fucking with this old businessman, and he was not happy with it. And so we were going on dinner break, and everybody's getting up, and he just completed the small blind. And so instead of making it small, on the big blind, I made it like 400. And the big blind was like 50. And as soon as I made it 400, he just goes, I'm all in. And I got ace king offsuit. And I'm just like, I stood up, and I'm just like, hey, I don't think I can. And I just go, I call, and he turns over ace queen. My friend sitting next to me, Daniel Weinman, goes,
Daniel.
He goes, I folded a queen, and the flop came clean, and then he just turned to queen. Even the poker news people were like hugging me on dinner break. They're like, man, I feel so bad for you. Like, first place, like 800. I would have had like quarter of the chips in play, 12-handed. I mean, good luck to everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: is you put yourself in that spot so many times. Obviously, I mean, it's just a matter of time before that bracelet will be on your trophies on your shelf.
Yeah,
there, so
I hope so. It's obviously a goal of mine, but I don't know how much I'm going to play going forward. Like, I traveled a lot this year, and it's so nice to be able to just go and play when you want. But I've done a lot, and I'm trying to find more balance. And
recently married, a couple years ago. It's been, or maybe even, have you been married for a couple years now?
We got married in March of this year.
Oh, it's this year. Okay,
we've been together for like 3 years, but yeah. So with kids and all, like, we're just trying. We're taking some trips without casinos involved, and just spending more time with my dad. And I don't know, just trying to find some mental health and some gratitude and some clarity, and it's not easy. But now, I mean, I'm 51 years old, and like, I tell you, when you play back to back, like day 1, day 1A, day 1B, day 1C for 12 hours, it's a lot more than it used to be, for sure.
I want to, this kind of transitions into the life outside of poker segment really well. And you've been pretty open at the poker table about your sobriety over the past year. Do you think that's contributed to your results over the past year?
100%. So contributed to life-changing things like
Outside and inside of poker.
yeah, I mean, once we came out of COVID, I needed a reset, and man, it was a decision that I guess most people, when they're faced with different challenges, there might be a certain reason, or they might hit rock bottom, where I never did, but I knew that wasn't the best version of myself. But it was a pretty big decision for me to do what I did. One of the bigger decisions I had to make on my own,
and stick with it.
It's it's been wonderful, and
Good.
it's for health reasons and family reasons and everything. But I think there's no doubt it's been, not only would I say the sobriety, but also my wife has been a big part of my success this year, because we talk poker quite a bit and play and stuff, and it's nice having a spouse that understands the game a little bit, or a lot.
Yeah.
It's also difficult because it's such a negative sport, and when one person takes a bad beat, it's tough to console them but still try to keep your game going on the other table. So there's some ebb and flows of that too. But yeah, definitely sobriety has been a huge part of what.
Well, I'm definitely proud of you, man. I'm glad to see you doing happier. You look healthier. I mean, all of the above.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Very kind.
Yeah, I guess I don't have a lot to say about that, but that's great to hear. Like I didn't know you before that, really. So but yeah, you definitely both of you seem like you're people who are focused on their health, both mental and physical. And I think that's both life and also just poker. Like that stuff helps a lot more than you'd think.
Yeah, it's not easy. I don't think life is easy for anybody. And for people that don't know me or haven't walked in my shoes, I get judged a lot. And I guess for those people, they don't know that, not too long ago, I was on food stamps, for Christ's sake. Like, there's just some things that, I didn't just walk around throwing money at poker tournaments, and I don't have the greatest life, and I still have bad days and bad weeks. And, I still fight with myself, and I still sometimes don't get along with people in public. It's just not all, fun and games. But I think if you just take it day by day and try to live in the present, I guess that's the best advice I can give anybody. That's why I try to play the poker hands. I try to play it one hand at a time.
It's always a work in progress, Blake.
Yeah,
we're always working towards the better version of ourselves, and it'll always be that way. So I appreciate you sharing all that information with us. I think this would be a good time to start wrapping things up. I want to thank you so much for, hanging out with us for the past hour and talking poker, talking about your life, and strategy and all that good stuff. DFS. Is there anything that you might want to say to all of our listeners before we sign off here? Maybe it could be a tip, or maybe just something that you want to, not that you have to explain yourself or anything like that, but just anything that comes to mind that you want to share before we sign off here.
Yeah, I guess one thing that we haven't touched upon is, just because you have some success at poker doesn't mean you're a better player than you were a year ago. Or I don't think because the amount of wins or success I've had this year, I don't feel that changes who I am. I know I still have flaws in my game. In fact, I hired a poker coach for the first time this year. Like, I just think that people judge themselves in poker based upon a win and a loss way too often, when you should be judging yourself on, are you getting better at the game, and are you playing the hand according to how you want to play the hand, rather than results oriented. And I think that'll go a lot farther in poker and in life than just saying, well, I had ace king versus two queens and I hit a king, and so I'm great. It's just not how it is. So I would try to just not be focused on the results of it, and just keep, the more times you can give yourself a chance to go deep, and the better player you are, the more chances of winning you'll have.
Yeah, I think that's really well said, especially in a game like poker, where I think other people who either don't play or play a little bit, they will judge you based on your recent results.
Correct.
But you have to make sure that you're honestly evaluating how, your skill level.
For sure.
Yeah, I think
you have to be self-aware. You should always try to be self-aware. It's tough to do, when you're winning. It's tough not to think how great you are, but are you really? But yeah, if you're not, once you stop having fun at the table, it's time for a break. I would say, like, nobody that I know that hates going to play poker, that goes to play poker, does anything good. It's always negative. Their life's negative. So once it stops becoming fun, then take a break or find something else to do.
My man, words of the wise. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that will resonate with a lot of people. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And then just the last thing to end off here, what's the next few weeks look like here for you and Kat? I mean, are you going to be at the MSPT main event? You heading down to the Bahamas or to the Win? What are you doing?
Our schedule is tomorrow, so I don't know when this is gonna air, but we'll play the high roller tomorrow.
Yeah, so it's airing Thursday, so that'll be yesterday.
So I'll be probably winning about the time this airs on Thursday.
Yeah, this will be releasing after you have heaps. Yeah.
No, we're gonna play Kat and I will play the 2,500 and the 1,100, and then we fly Tuesday to the Win to play the 10K $40 million event.
Cool, man.
Well, I wish probably wrap up our year.
I wish you both the best of luck. I hope you guys have happy holidays moving into 2024. Again, thanks again for taking the time to hang out with us here today. If anyone has questions for Blake, you can always reach out to me or maybe even him via Twitter. And Blake, I hope you have a great trip, man. Best of luck to you in the high roller tomorrow. And we will see you guys next time.